Welcome to The Debate. So picture this, July 25th, 1965. Bob Dylan walks out onto the stage at the Newport Folk Festival carrying an electric guitar, and he just plugs it in.
Right, and the crowd just goes, absolutely feral. Like, Pete Seeger allegedly is running around looking for an axe to cut the power cables.
Yeah, because, to the purist, Dylan wasn't just playing a new instrument. He was basically desecrating the sacred struggle of acoustic folk music.
Exactly. And author Satvinder S. Zinga calls this recurring historical crisis the Newport Moment. It's that inflection point where a faster, cheaper tool completely disrupts a creative tradition. And today, obviously, generative AI is our electric guitar.
Right. But it raises this really terrifying question. When we bypass the traditional, say, acoustic struggle of writing or coding, do we discover the true, deeper purpose of our creativity?
Or, on the flip side, does skipping that struggle just destroy our ability to create altogether? Because, I look at Dingra's text, and I just see a massive red flag for human capability.
Really? A red flag?
Yeah, because AI doesn't just change the instrument, it bypasses the entirely grueling practice required to develop a creative mind in the first place. We're risking an era of completely hollow work.
See, I disagree. Look at the historical pattern Dingra lays out. Take 1839, photography arrives. Suddenly you can capture a visual record infinitely faster and cheaper than painting.
Sure, and the purists panicked then, too.
Exactly. They panicked. But painting didn't die. It just shed its mechanical obligation to document reality, It birthed Impressionism. Painters had to explore human consciousness because, the camera just couldn't.
Right, but...
Wait, let me just land this point really quick. AI is going to do exactly this to knowledge work. It's burning away the mechanical generation of text and code. It's forcing us to deliver the one thing the algorithm cannot do, which is what Thinker calls the human encounter.
The encounter mediated by the artist's wound, yeah.
Yes. Creating art requires vulnerability. There's this friction with the medium that leaves a permanent, uniquely human scar on the final product. AI has no skin in the game, so it really can't bleed onto the page.
Okay, but you're treating AI like it's just a faster paintbrush, and it's really not. Photography couldn't paint the canvas for you, AI natively writes, analyzes, and codes.
Fair point.
Go back to Dingra's other example, the monks in 1439 facing the printing press. The monks argued that the spiritual formation, like that deep, meditative attention demanded by hand-copying manuscripts, was being annihilated.
And they were right, obviously, but we still got mass literacy out of it.
But Dingra admits the monks were right about the loss to the practitioner. This is his whole formation argument. When you bypass the agonizing hours of practicing chords, or, wrestling with sentence structure, you aren't just saving time.
You think you're losing the essence.
You're skipping the exact crucible that teaches your brain how to think creatively. The struggle is what actually forms the artist. You don't get that human wound if you skip the grueling process of making the art.
I hear you, but I think you're conflating the mechanical act of typing or strumming with the actual essence of the work itself. This is where Dingra uses Richard Feynman's name versus bird analogy.
Remind me how he frames that?
So Feynman pointed out that knowing the name of a bird in 10 different languages tells you absolutely nothing about how that bird actually behaves or flies, right?
Right. Okay, so how does that map onto AI?
Well, AI is a master of the names. It can generate a perfectly formatted, grammatically flawless script or a functional block of code. But it has no idea what it feels like to actually communicate. It gives you the reproducible output.
So the human is still the bird in this scenario.
Exactly. The human being still has to bring the bird, that messy, lived intention behind the words. Folk music survived because it shed the mechanical burden and protected that core intention.
Yeah, but you're assuming the bird just magically appears because a human typed a prompt. Dingra explicitly warns practitioners to ask whether the efficiency of the new tool has displaced the encounter along with the effort. You can't separate them.
But if the intention is there,
if AI removes the friction of wrestling with words or paint, how does a human wound actually get deposited into the work?
The effort itself is the vehicle for the encounter.
Well, the text notes that external booing, the institutions, the purists defending the old tools, that always eventually stops. It's inevitable.
Right, the crowd gets tired of yelling.
Exactly. Dhingra's advice is that if the wound is truly present in what you're trying to express, you just have to plug in louder. The crisis simply forces the practitioner to go deeper, to have more to say than the old acoustic guitar could carry.
But you can't ignore the internal booing. Dhingra validates that inner voice, that imposter syndrome warning a creator that their AI-assisted work isn't legitimate.
You think that voice is justified?
Absolutely. Without the specific quality of attention that manual traditions demand, the encounter is lost. If what you produce is technically adequate but substantively hollow, that internal booing is telling you the truth. Your formation is incomplete.
Wow. Okay, so we are at a fascinating crossroads here. To me, AI is a necessary crucible. It forces us to uncover the irreducible purpose of creative work by stripping away all that functional noise.
While I worry that by bypassing the practice itself, we sever the human wound from the output, we're stripping away the very formation that makes us capable of depth in the first place.
Fair enough. Yet we both agree with Dhingra on one crucial reality here. The transition happens regardless. The electric guitar isn't getting unplugged.
Exactly. Dhingra leaves open the vital question of whether our surrounding institutions, like schools, studios, publishers, will ultimately support this deep human encounter or just optimize for the hollow output.
So, as the noise of this AI revolution deafens us, the question isn't whether the power will stay on. The question is, when you step up to the mic, will you heed that internal booing, or do you have the substance to plug in louder?